Hey, what's happening? YJC, Youth Justice Coalition, still on the move to free the incarcerated, particularly amidst this COVID-19 pandemic, um, because we already know you can't get well in a cell, particularly when there's a pandemic. So much respect to the YJC community. This is Free LA U.S. History class, and it's a U.S. history of the prison industrial complex looked at through the lens of art and assessed through artistic processes. We're excited to be with Liberated Arts Collective. Ms. Veronique, take it away.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'll just introduce Liberated Arts and then talk a little bit about how the class is going to run and turn it over to Jasmine. Liberated Arts was founded in 2016 at the Youth Justice Coalition by Veronique Donchemont with Manuel Barrios, Dennis Durbin, Paul Macias, and Walter Wilson, who were each released from serving term to life sentences in California state prisons earlier that year. The project began as an extension of YJC's Welcome Home program as a means to gain a platform for formerly incarcerated members to tell their stories and give back to the community by working with system-impacted youth. Currently, Liberated Arts Collective teachers have personal knowledge of carceral and mental health systems through incarceration or institutionalization of themselves or those they love. So I wanted to thank everyone for who's joining us today from outside of the outside of the YJC community, and welcome you to Jasmine Nyende's DIY fabric workshop. So this workshop series is the last in a series of workshops that Liberated Arts Collective is offering students at Youth Justice Coalition's Free LA High School. So thank you for joining us. We want to center the interests and questions of high school students who sign into this online classroom. So we're asking that everyone from outside of YJC to please just remain muted with your video turned off throughout the workshop. And then maybe we can turn on video at the end for asking questions like we did last time. Please refrain from using the group chat if you're a non-YJC guest, just so we make sure that any Free LA high school students' questions or comments won't get lost in chat. And if you have questions during the workshop, definitely private message me and I can pass those on to Jasmine as she conducts the workshop, because it's tough to multitask. So we have a bunch of other workshops that are available online, and I'll talk about those at the end of the class because I want to get right into the workshop. And also we have a deadline for coming up on Friday. People have the opportunity, anyone from outside of the YJC community, anyone in the Liberated Arts community or beyond has the opportunity to submit work or artwork or ideas to our writing, whatever, to our zine called How to Survive a Quarantine, Getting Unstuck When You're Stuck Inside. So I'll also give those details at the end of the workshop. And I'll turn it over to Jasmine.
Hi, thank you, Veronique. Thank you, sir. Thank you, YJC, for inviting me to do this workshop. So my name is Jasmine Nyende. I'm a fiber artist and musician from South Central Los Angeles. And I'm super excited just to kind of jump into what we're going to do today. So today is going to be about meditation, about its role in our liberation and ways that we can use that intention to create peace for ourselves and for other people in our family and our friends and just even for the wider world. And so I wanted to start off by reading a section from Radical Dharma, which is a book that I love and that inspires me deeply. And it's talking about race, love, and liberation. So I wanted to read a section from this that I thought, because in this book, this is a lot of what also inspired my practice. I love this idea of thinking about how our peace, our stillness, our sense of self-worth, these are all things that we need to value deeper in our lives now, even now that we're in quarantine, valuing deeply how we find the peace within ourselves to keep going when everything feels so lost. So here's a section that inspired me this morning. Okay. Through practice, we can create the invitation to be in relationship with the reality of what is, even when we disagree with it, if for no other reason that our disagreement does not negate the reality. Simultaneously, our commitment to disrupting and dismantling structures that degrade humanity, a commitment to practice of engaging the humanity of people wed to perpetuating these structures must coexist. So I guess so what it's saying is that we have to be really committed to the reality that we want to create for ourselves and committed to this idea of this just reality and embody it within ourselves. Because while we see these structures fall apart and die, we also have to be so committed truly to the structures that we want to build in its place. So that's what I want to keep thinking with and exploring in this meditation class is like, how can we use meditation as a space to build a reality of peace and learn what lessons are there in that peace and spread that within all sections of our lives. Does that feel good? Is that a good intro? Okay. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna read one more section that I am from another book that inspires me greatly, which is Women Who Run with Wolves. It's myths and stories of a wild woman archetype. So it's all about all these stories from all around the world of people who are about stories about women, from women, and about just like this journey of like almost like this larger story that happens between like within the soul and the body that is very universal. Like almost like these stories all kind of have the same thread going within them, which is so beautiful, which is about the transformation of life. So I'm going to read you a section. So the section that that spoke to me deeply when I found this book when I was in college. I was a sophomore in college and I was going to school in Portland and I was probably one of the only Black students I knew like in the whole school. Like it was a very, very stressful time for me. But this book, what it did was that it gave me this chance to really go deeper within myself and figure out how to listen to my emotions, how to listen to what's going on inside and not always be not about not being reactive, but knowing that I'm going to close this window because it's kind of loud outside. So the section of this book is called Making Territory, the Boundaries of Rage and Forgiveness. So I'm going to read a section. So this section starts with a story, but I'm going to skip over to the analysis of the story and read you a little section that that really enlivened my sense of self. So rage as a teacher. Okay. Let's see. The story shows the importance of bringing psychological knowledge down to earth in our real lives. Learning that healing is in the process of questioning. Healing is in the process of practicing not one single idea. It's a practice of, sorry. Healing is a process of questing and practice, not in a single idea. The heart of the story is apply all these things to one's rage and all will be well. There's another section I really wanted to read. Okay. Let's see. Healing from rage by seeking a wise and calming healing force, taking the challenge of going into psychic territory one has never approached before, recognizing the illusions, putting one's old and obsessive thoughts and feelings to rest, soliciting the great compassion itself, understanding the roaring side of the compassionate psyche. And I feel like you can feel a lot of what this means in my own practice with my band Fuck You Pay Us. You can feel it, like you can sense that it is a space about finding what rage could do for releasing and healing the body. What screaming, what dancing, what moshing can do for making you know that your rage is valid, your rage is beautiful, and it's something that should be celebrated because it is what's gonna help you break out of your chains. So the last kind of example I'm gonna read this is what my friend Gabby made. This is, so these are called metas. What we're writing are metas. So metas are a message that starts from your heart and goes out into the whole world. So it's a message that starts from here and from your mind and goes out in the practice and in the living of being inside this meta. So I'm going to read it to you, and hopefully you can kind of feel what the magic means. Like a meta is almost like a song that you sing without having to say a word, or like, it's almost like, it's something that is an energy that comes from deeper, that spreads out. So here is this meta that my friend Gabby made. And then here's the paper inspiration that is kind of what's going to inspire what we do today. So so here it is. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles, and for the boundless multitude of living beings, may I bring substance and awakening, enduring like earth and sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. So with these metas, yeah, I love it too. Like when she gifted this to me, I cried because there's just something about the act of receiving a meditation that just feels so good. Like it feels so good to know that this person wanted my heart to feel healed, you know?
Jasmine, is there a particular way that that she writes those? Do you know if there's like a structure that she uses to write those? Like I know that Adrienne Marie Brown has like structures that she recommends for writing a spell or something like that. Do you know if there's sort of a structure to it?
I feel like the structure comes into itself as like for example, it kind of becomes, the structure should be built by your intention. Like I think that like, especially when you think of like, I know that what she wanted to do with this is she thought about what healing I needed and let that guide her to how to write this. So I guess it's all about just remembering what healing you think the other person needs or what the world needs, and letting that tell you what to write. Because I think that I really liked how I think the meditation could be open. It could be anything. The meditation could be a song. The meditation could be a single sentence. The meditation could be a word that you repeat to yourself as you're in the stillness. So I'm kind of hesitant to saying there is one structured way to write it. But what I want to do today is kind of like encourage how to think about the healing somebody else might need and know what you can do with words. Sorry, does that make sense? So, anybody have any more questions? Should I just get to the dying of the paper?
I just want to say thank you, because we need the healing. We need the healing and the words, the power of the words and what we say. It's been a common thread from all of the liberated arts teachers' intention. And I love the way you're approaching that intention. Thank you.
Exactly. I completely agree. Thank you. So we're going to move to outside and we're going to get started on dyeing the paper. And I'm going to show you a few different techniques here. And it's all meant to be very experimental. And again, there is no one or right way to do this. So actually, here's one example. I'll show you inside since the lighting might be better. So here's some paper dyed with marigold. I even left some of the flowers on here. And as you can see, it's very splattered and kind of all over the place because I didn't want it to look uniform. I wanted it to kind of just feel like the color was coming, it was just kind of like splattered on. And I used a spray bottle to spray it. And then what I've been doing since then is I draw and I line in kind of like around and make these shapes. And then from there, I like to like make these into heads or like kind of just keep exploring and understanding, like letting my hand guide how the art comes out and how it all becomes itself. So here's one example. Here's one where I dyed the paper like a lot more. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a light yellow. And this was dyed with the leftover marigold. And then what I love about this too is that you can actually use like old paper. Like you can, if you're not planning on giving it to the person, because you don't actually have to give someone the meditation, you can like think about it, you can offer it to them and maybe they want to accept it. Or you can just kind of like hold it yourself and know that you're going to come to them with that same energy. Like there's so many ways that you can use this kind of magic or power. So I'm going to teach, so the one that we're going to be doing today is similar to this one, where it's like we're going to be using a spray bottle to make these spritz of color, and then we're going to be drawing out the outline to create like a whole new kind of pattern and shape. And then on the front, we're going to be writing our meditations. So right now it is, okay, perfect. So we're going to be dyeing with the paper. And as I said last week, we're meant to save our dye stuff, and that's actually what I'm going to be using today. I'm going to be using my leftover dye stuff from our last class. So I'm going to step into the shade here. Sorry it's so loud, it's trash day.
But while you're getting your stuff together, I just wanted to share that our students have been writing letters to.
What did you say?
Except while you're getting your stuff together, I just wanted to share our students have been writing letters to inmates on death row. And so we look forward to using these original pieces of dyed papers to make that more attractive and one of a kind. We are also looking to write some letters to inmates here in California. That Death Row Project is in Texas. So again, thank you for being here. And welcome, Paradise. Welcome.
Hey, sir. Hi, everyone.
Blessings, blessings. We have guests in from around the city, so if you want to keep your camera on, that's fine. If you don't want to, that's fine too. Good to see you.
For sure, I'll keep it on. It doesn't really matter.
Blessings. Jasmine, Paradise, Paradise, Jasmine.
Hey, Paradise, I'm Jasmine.
Oh, I think I was muted. I don't know.
That's
Hi.
okay. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. How are you?
Okay, so I'm gonna get into the workshop some more. So here is just like some paper, or actually let me use this piece of paper. So the first thing that we're gonna do is, so the solution that we used as a mordant last time and we had leftover in the bucket, I put that in a spray bottle. So I took that leftover mordant that we used, which was the sodium, which was the acetate, the aluminum acetate, and I put that in a spray bottle. And what I'm gonna do is spray this water. So this is just some leftover paper. I guess I had like, I don't know, some paper I found in the house, and I'm gonna spray it. Turn the spray bottle on. Okay, so first I'm just gonna spray the paper. So the mordant is also what's gonna be helping to, of course, like adhere the color to the paper. So here's one piece of paper. I'm gonna do it to this one too. And as you can see, it's like older paper. It doesn't have to be fresh, new. You don't have to buy anything new with this. So here's the paper with the mordant. And then you let that sit for like a minute, just for a minute. Let the chemicals really blend into the paper. And then here was our cochineal from last week. So here's the cochineal. I put it in a spray bottle. So I saved what was left in that bucket and I put it in a spray bottle. And now I'm gonna spray it. Oh, gotta turn this one on too.
And Jasmine, if students want to do this, could they just use like an old spray bottle? Like if they, use up all the cleaning fluid in their house, they could save that and use that bottle.
Exactly. They totally can. Yeah, and it's especially good for when after you're done dyeing something else. Just say, yeah, it keeps the dye for you, and then yeah, this dye will last for a while until it starts to smell icky or get moldy. That's the only time I stop using the dye.
Just make sure you label the bottle so that no one in your house accidentally sprays cochineal.
That part. That's very, very true. I keep all my crafts in a certain section that people know not to like play around with. So then I'm gonna spray this on the paper. As you can see, it gets a little spurty. Can you see? Actually, you can't see. Let me see. So here's my paper, and the color is starting to adhere. It's a little light, but I don't really mind that. So here it is. It makes really cool designs to me. I really love the way it drips. Let's do this one too. Can you see it well? Can you see what I'm doing well?
It looks kind of see-through right now. It looks like it's making the paper kind of see-through.
Yeah, it won't
Yeah,
dry.
I can't really see it that good.
It won't dry see-through, luckily. I think it's just because the paper is wet. Let me try it with this other one. This one I already dyed with the marigold, so I'm going to be layering this one with other colors. Okay. And then of course you can just use like a paintbrush and do this like with a painted kind of like more stylized look. But for me, I love when things look more organic. I love when things kind of look like it's like the universe was also there with me painting. So I like it when it comes out kind of looking like, I'm trying to show how I can show the color well. Maybe if I go inside, because it's not really picking up on the camera, but like it makes these kind of natural shapes. And then if I had more time, I'd show how to like make paper and go deeper into that. But this is just kind of like an introduction to a simple way you can dye paper. Like this is like very simple first step. Because some other things you can do is you can actually dip the paper into the mordant bath and then dip it into the dye bath if you want the paper to be all one color. But this is just because I don't know, I think it looks more organic this way.
Are there certain types of paper you would recommend for students? I know that in their art supplies kits, they have a few pieces of watercolor paper, and I imagine that would hold up pretty well to the liquid. But if they don't,
very, very true.
If they run out of that.
I've been using computer paper, but you definitely can use like a thicker paper. You can use a paper that like has, yeah, I think that's a great idea to use a watercolor paper. I've been thinking about using tracing paper, but I think it's a little bit too thin, but I think it'd also be so beautiful to have like something traced in this background if I want to use that. And then with the cochineal, you can see that the cochineal is getting on the paper, but when it dries, that will just come off. So what time is it now? I want to start the meditation class at 3 o'clock, at 2:30, I mean, like writing the meditations out. So here are the papers. And then I'm going to let these dry in the sun outside for like, it usually takes like an hour for it to dry. And the only thing is making sure it doesn't blow away. That's the hard part. I usually put like a little rock on the corners or something just so it stays flat while it dries. Any more questions?
Nobody has asked any questions. Oh, sorry. You go ahead, Paradise.
What products you put on the art?
I didn't hear you.
Since I joined late, I don't know what products you use on the paper to make the art.
Oh, yes. So the products I'm using this is actually a bug. It's a cochineal bug that has been ground, and then I dyed it to make a bath. And then this is water mixed with aluminum acetate, which is a mordant that we're going to use to make sure the color stays on the paper. And that's the two ingredients. And then some of the paper were already dyed with like marigold, and then we're going to use a pen, and then that should be it.
For sure. And where can I get those?
Oh, where can you get them? So in the kits that that Veronique has, that she's gonna ship to you, you will have the cochineal bug, and then you're gonna be able to grind it with like maybe a spoon in a bowl, and then boil it, and you'll make this color. And then with this color, yeah, so it's gonna be in that kit. But you can also like harvest it yourself off Nepalese cactuses, like the bug, to make this color. Or you could like use fresh flowers. Like this process works beautifully with fresh flowers. Like if you want to take a fresh flower, dip like and then like put it on the paper and let the colors naturally bleed, that's gorgeous too. Like that's a really beautiful thing to do. Like it's kind of about where you find the color you like and then like kind of experimenting from there. But yeah, but Veronique's gonna send you a kit with the cochineal and with the mordant, which is the aluminum acetate.
And Paradise, I'll be sending that to you separate than the art supplies, because I already sent your art supplies when I got those.
Yeah, I received those. I just couldn't find your email to let you know, and thank you for that as well. And I'll just be waiting for the other package.
Okay, well, I'll send it off soon.
For sure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions? I see something in the chat. Oh no. Any more? Everyone feel good? Okay. So I'm going to move into the writing of the meditation portion. So I'm going to let my paper dry out here, and then I'm going to go and back inside.
Jasmine, I did want to mention just something for students who haven't yet had a chance to watch the video from last week, which nobody has because I haven't actually posted it yet. I wanted to mention that you said this really beautiful thing about how when you do natural dyeing on an article of clothing, it feels like it gives some sort of special energy to that article of clothing. And so I'm thinking about that as you're showing us how to do this natural dyeing process on the paper that we're going to write these meditations on too.
I love that. And it's, yes, exactly. Like you're adding more intention, you're adding more uniqueness. I like how it makes the paper feel older. I like how it makes it feel like it's not just a mass-produced like piece of paper. It feels like something that you're adding your own magic to, your own creativity to. So here was my example from earlier, where I was almost drawing in these shapes that were naturally forming from the spray on the paper. And I kind of like this too, because it almost feels like I'm creating my own like country outline or something. And it's like fun to do on the back. So that's one idea. And then I'm really curious if y'all want to talk about any other ideas you have, or like if you can come up with like, I don't like, if you want to like share what's coming up for you as you do this.
So when we do this, right, it's anything that we want to put on paper, or
Yes.
that looks real nice, what you just showed right now.
Thank you. So yeah, I just kind of went in and just kind of drew, like used what natural shapes came up and just accentuated it. And that's going to be for the back of my meditation, and my meditation will be on the front. And as you can see, I left some of the flower petals. I wanted it to be like you can kind of see it. And this is a meditation that I'm writing. My brother is getting out of jail in July. So this is a piece of paper I wanted to write a meditation for him for when he gets out, as like, I don't know, like a spell of protection. It can be, I did this also when my brother was shot a few years ago. I did this, and it really helped me to feel like I was adding a level of protection for him. I was adding a level of like kinship and visibility for, I don't know, for myself and for him. So it's something that like I love as a way to kind of like come back to what you want to see for your relationship, to him, to the world, to like myself. Like use this as a time to really like go back into myself and go inner and see what magic I could do to help. So so since my intention is that my intention is to offer a spell of protection for someone who's getting out of prison early because of COVID. Like what are something that like, what are the feelings that come up for me when I think about that? What are the feelings that must be coming up for him? Because this is a practice of compassion. It's a practice of putting myself in somebody else's shoes. So what's coming up for me is like what's coming up for me is like letting go of the fear of coming to a new world that you haven't seen in years. It's not a new world, but coming into a world that you haven't seen for a long time. So what are some words or images that come to your mind that reminds you of that? Does anybody want to share? Is that okay if we all share? I don't want to just talk about this, because I feel like it's like, this is a good time where we can all come together and like kind of write it together. If people want to unmute themselves. Do y'all do that, sir? Verity?
Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
Okay, cool.
For me, I would say pandemic-ish. Like we're entering with our quarantining and how things are slowly opening up. You know, there's I guess one word, uneasy.
Uneasy, exactly. And like for my other brother who already got out before the pandemic, for him, he said that the pandemic felt like he was back in jail. So like, you know, he felt like he was back already, like on lockdown. And so I guess what I'm trying to, so like that's another level of compassion to it, like how what environment are people entering into? I'm like, yeah, I agree. It's a very uneasy feeling. So like,
Welcome, Andy. What thoughts do you have on that? I'm sorry, Andy just got here.
oh,
Paradise.
yeah, Andy.
Paradise, what thoughts do you have on that?
And I believe Rashad is here too.
Yep. I put him a welcome.
Hey, so I'm honestly trying to get Jalila into this class right now. So I'm just texting back and forth with her, trying to get her into the class, sending her the link. But can you repeat the question again so I could give feedback?
Yeah, I can. I was asking, what are some concepts or ideas that could make you feel like, what are some compassionate ideas and like words or like images that you can write about that'll make someone feel like you see them, or make someone feel like they're on your minds or in your hearts?
Well, I could say that we are united as one, be supportive to each other as well. Just show your love and care for them, and just try pushing them to think positive. Always just think positive vibes. Don't think negative, and just be calm about the situations. Just relax, I guess.
I love that. I love that a lot. Especially that part about like, we are united. Like that's a concept that really needs to come out in this meditation. It's almost, so maybe I'll make that the title, Unity Meditation.
For sure. Something that I've been thinking about a lot, Jasmine, are just all the people who have lost people who during this time, like one of our, co-teachers in Liberated Arts has lost somebody, and she was sharing with all of us about how the process of, not being able to say goodbye to that person, not being able to grieve with other family members, and someone else that I know from, our arts community who lost a parent. There was actually decided to do a grieving process online that they welcomed people to take part in and to witness. And so just thinking about the different ways that people are finding to grieve and connect. And I think that's just very much on my mind in this time.
How about our grief is a bridge?
Yeah, I love that.
I cross it with you hand in hand. Yeah, our grief as a bridge. Because that's so true. Like we're coming, like the way that the world feels right now is so disconnected, where like with what's going on, it's like, yeah, you can't even say goodbye. You can't hug your family to get that comfort if you're not already living with them. It's a time that needs so much more connection and compassion. Anybody else want to share? No? I can see somebody.
And just, I would say that also people from outside of YJC, I know that we had said that we want to give space for YJC students to really center them, but if other people who are visitors want to share with this part, go ahead.
Please.
Hi, I can share.
Yes, please.
My name is Cecia. Thank you so much for hosting the space. And my brother, actually, it's about to be a year that he got released, which we're really happy about. Also, after being in an officer-involved shooting, so yeah, similar stories, journeys. And I think one thing that has been really hard is, I don't want to say patience, but something about having patience. And I think it's connected to also like money. So when folks get out, there's all these expenses, and folks are already struggling, especially within our pandemic world. Folks are struggling to make ends meet, and really had to talk a lot with my brother to be like, it's okay. You don't have to take care of your needs right now. Like we're here for you. Like you haven't been home. Like let us let us take care of you, let us create home with you, right? So yeah, those are some things that like, and then just the timing of it, right? Because it's a year later, and you know, luckily he actually works at Amazon, so he is getting like full-time and extra hours, but it is still having to depend on our family when he's so used to having to take care of himself. I think it's a little frustrating and challenging for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Like, that's so true. The frustration and challenge that comes from having to depend on so many different people that maybe you haven't seen in a while. Like, my brother will be, when he gets out, he would have not seen us for 2 years. We do keep up on Instagram because he has a phone in there, but like, he hasn't actually seen us in that long. So it's like, that's so true. Like, for me, what sentence came up when I heard your story is patience is a guide. Let us show you back home.
Mm-hmm.
So patience is, so right now our poem is going, our grief is a bridge, and patience is a guide. Let it show you back home.
I love that.
Yeah. So this, keep going.
The thing I think that I was just gonna, the thing to add is just like making home, and like what does making home mean, right? Because it's not just the physical home, but like the family home, your city home. And yeah, my brother started getting incarcerated when he was 13. He got released when he was 19. So he hasn't been in our home, in our family home, in a very long time. And he hasn't had the ability, he hasn't had agency in what home means to him for a really long time. So I think and that's just something that I've been asking myself, like, what does it mean to create home, like within myself, within my body, to kind of create that kind of peace that you were talking about at the beginning. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot about like home there.
Yeah. There's so much about home there. Like, it's so wild how much our stories align too. Like, same with my brother, is like, he'd be in and out since the time he was in juvie, you know, in and out, to where I only know him mostly as someone who's there and then gone. There for 3 months, gone for 6 months, but here for maybe a few months, gone for a year. It's always just like very, like, it's like this relationship, like, it's like for so long, it was like, I don't know, like, it hurt me so much for so long until I had to numb myself. And now I'm in the process of just like really taking account for the pain, like taking account for the trauma, listening to how it affected my body, to know that like the state can just take your family away, and like how that's generational when you're a Black and brown person in this country. Like, they've been separating families since slavery. They've been separating families from, and so it's just kind of like, I've been trying to find ways that I could heal that, and like also forgive him and forgive myself, who blamed him for a little bit. We're taught to blame him. We're taught to be like, oh, he's wrong. I'm the good one. I'm the one going to school. I'm the one going to college. I'm better. Like, no, this practice is about it's about seeing them as a person so that we can better kind of grow together. Yeah. Anybody else want to share and help come up with another line of our meditation, of our unity meditation?
Can I share something that I'm thinking about?
Yes.
So in my house, someone I live with, their parent just died, and they're in California too. And I think just what's been coming up for me and listening to everyone's conversation is a lot about like being like this resituating that's happening, and that maybe is always happening, but like maybe we have more time for, or being forced to notice more of like literally opening of our spirits and bodies to, like you're saying, like extend that home to like your brothers and to just like other community members. And like something that happened when my housemate's dad died, like our house was, and I was like able to hold a certain amount of space in my body that I haven't like ever experienced before. And like even Jasmine, how you're talking about like like being accountable and like allowing time to like notice how your body was like affected. And like there's something about how we are like all like connected, and our bodies and spirits can be like open and vessel to each other. And even this is the point that I wanted to talk about, was in the beginning when you were, I just lost it again, but it was something about, imagining what the person needs, like what the person's heart or their body, or like what, like getting into that space and like channeling like healing and compassion for them. Yeah, like that's what's coming up a lot.
I love that. Where you become a channel of that universal healing that's necessary for both people.
Right.
I love that. The body as a vessel. For me, I feel like I'm hearing too, the body as a vessel for forgiveness, for holding space, for the body as a healing channel. Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Like, as you're mentioning, like the wounds are generational, and like witnessing that is there. Yeah.
Like one way that I'm sorry, I feel like crying now. One way as a child that I would numb myself to even that pain of having someone that you love be gone, and then it gets like taken like that, or like having the police feel like they can just run into your house and like take somebody, or even like, I don't know, it's just like I had to just like shut it off or something. But like when you bring it back on, like that's where the real healing happens, you know, like when you like can take in the way that like these affect the physical body, and use that as a way to like heal other people and heal yourself and like heal the relationship you can have with that person. Yeah. So the second lines that I'm hearing is hold space in the body, a vessel of forgiveness and transient trust. A healing channel. So is it making sense, this process of writing a meditation? Yeah, it's like letting yourself open up, feeling how it must be to be in the other person's shoes, knowing what kind of healing you want to have for yourself and with that other person, and then letting that spread into the world.
Jasmine, I was wondering if we could go, something you were talking about your brother being there and being gone, for me really connected to, I mean, I grew up with my mom being in and out of mental institutions, and I really connected to that. And I noticed, I mean, we after you talked about that, we didn't write a line for that. And I wonder if we could, first of all, I wonder if we could all take a breath together, because I can hear in your voice, like the sadness and the pain that I think that we all in one way or another hold. And then I wondered if we could write a line for that sentiment.
Yeah. Is something coming to someone's mind already? Is the spirit speaking to someone?
I just appreciate the space to do this collectively. I know that there's a lot of families impacted, but we don't often get the space to kind of connect with each other and hold each other through that process, because we're usually taking care of others. So yeah, I just appreciate a collective space where this is the conversation.
Thank you. I'm so glad. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad it's being received so well. I've never done a class like this, especially virtually. I feel like in person, it's a lot easier to feel like you can be vulnerable, but there's something about this online thing that makes it feel a little bit rougher, but I'm glad y'all can still feel the vibe and feel the power of what we're doing here.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing that I wanted to add, I think Bridget was kind of talking about like intergenerational like trauma and all of that. And so a lot of what I like to think about in my work is like our families are very resilient, and just how we have legacies of trauma. We also have like legacies of resilience, of reimagination, of resistance, and kind of uplifting. Where do those live in my body? Not just where does that trauma live in my body?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Resilience, exactly. Generational resilience. I love that. Hmm. Damn. How about resilience builds, I don't know, for me, I'm hearing, like, the sentence that's coming to mind for me is resilience builds my, like, is there a word for like that feeling of like not being anxious about the future or something? Like resilience builds my sense of calm. Resilience builds,
Tranquility, maybe?
what'd you say?
Tranquility?
Oh, resilience builds my tranquility. I love that. I
Serenity.
love that.
Peace?
What'd you say?
Serenity.
Serenity, tranquility, serenity. Resilience builds my serenity.
Calm?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A
Ease?
calm water I can drink from at any time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. What time is it? So we have 10 more minutes. Should I read what we have so far and then we can add from there? Okay, so this is the Unity meditation made by Liberated Arts group by us. Like it's about, so this is our meditation, Unity meditation. Our grief is a bridge. Patience is our guide. Let it show you home. Hold space in the body, a vessel of forgiveness, transient trust, a healing channel. Resilience builds my serenity. My tranquility is a calm water I can drink from.
Bridget wrote something in the chat that I feel like would be a really beautiful ending to the meditation.
Oh.
It says, sometimes I call that feeling being meadow-hearted or being able to rest in the meadow of my heart.
Bridget. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Y'all, Bridget is my friend. I'm sorry. I just, oh my God. She's one of my soul sisters. Oh my gosh. The meadow of my heart. I love that. Because it's open, it's free. It's about having a place you can run, you can lay, you can stargaze, you can like, and then you're letting someone else in that meadow who maybe hasn't felt that with you in a long time, you know? That's where the bridge comes in, but that grief as a bridge to let you into the meadow of the heart. And then with this meditation, I'll make sure to write it, type it out, and find a way to get it to everybody. If you do want to keep this as something that you put into your meditation practice, where like, when I give these, it's with the intention that the person will read it and think about it while they're closing their eyes and in a state of meditation for like 10 minutes. Like that's my dream, is like to just kind of like let the energy of it kind of like really live within your body while you meditate, and like encourage that with these kind of like, what a koan is like a little like almost like not a riddle, but something that can like take you back to peace, you know, something that you can point to look at that can remind you of like love again, or like kind of like, it's like almost like how you have to listen to your favorite song when you're feeling sad, or listen, or like you have like these things that bring you peace. This is something that I hope does that. Any more questions or any more ideas or, I don't know, reflections in our last few minutes? Does it make sense why we also dyed the paper too? Like, I think it looks really good. I'm gonna show you. So it's almost like this, like, so it feels magical to me. I hope that the feeling is being touched through the computer as well.
Certainly the uniqueness and authenticity, the artmanship is definitely translating through the screen for me.
Okay, great. That's awesome. I'm glad that it's translating through the screen. Oh gosh, like I don't know about y'all, but even like I even feel so much better right now. Like I swear, this practice is one of this like with every bit of peace you give someone else, it comes back to you tenfold. You know, like it just like alleviates anxiety because I don't know. It's like a good way to like come back to oneself is by giving this space to yourself.
The sense of transience in our relationships that touches something that's registering to me right now because I've met some incredible people like yourself, and then I don't see you again, you know, sometimes ever. And I was just in a conversation with people I work with, and that doesn't have to be, you know, um, the magic of that paper, that letter, you know, or now we have internet and Zoom and those things like that. But it's still our intention. Back to that, you know, it's our intention, you know, and we can get all the medicines and advice and yeah, but if we don't use it, if we don't take it, if we don't practice it, you know, that's a choice that's ours, and it starts like we're talking about with intention, a decision to love and care so much for others that it's going to cause you to do what's right for yourself. Thank you again. We're gonna abolish all prisons. We're gonna figure out next project with Liberated Arts Collective is I'm feeling like a ode to Ruthie Gilmore and Angela Davis and other freedom fighters. We need to free Mutula Shakur. We need to get Mumia Abu Jamal back home with his family. So thank you all for attending.
Thank you so much, sir, for inviting us into your classroom. And for opening up the class to folks outside of YJC as well. Thank you all for joining us. If people want to turn on their videos, if you have any questions or any last thoughts, I wanted to open that up and welcome people to do that. And then I'll tell people about the zine after that. Do folks want to turn their videos on and have any questions for Jasmine? It looks like we lost Paradise. Did Andy or Rashad, do either of you have any questions or last thoughts? All right. I'm gonna just share with you the zine opportunity that we have. Oh, both Andy and Rashad said no in the chat. Thank you for answering. I'm just gonna share my screen so you guys can see. Can you see this full image here? Yeah. Okay. So we have a zine that we're going to be putting together with some of the activity sheets that teachers have created for these classes, and then artwork and writing and other activities that people have sent in. And if any YJC students want to send stuff in to contribute to our zine, or anyone outside of YJC, you're welcome to submit things for our zine. And then you have the opportunity, we have one last deadline this Friday to win $50. So for your contribution, and everybody who submits gets a free copy of the zine. I noticed in the chat that somebody asked if we'll get a copy of the like an image of the meditation that we wrote together with Jasmine, and I'd love to include that in the zine too. So but I think that Jasmine can definitely share that image as well. So, oh yeah, and Jasmine answered that. So I also wanted to, I'm gonna switch over to a different screen share that looks the same because I have the same thing pulled up. So the place that you would find to submit to that zine, we have a Google form, and the place that you'll find this Google form to submit something to the zine is on our link tree. And along with that submission form, we have links to all the different classes that have been taught through this partnership with YJC. So we have a poetry class with Ra Avis, and Veronica de Jesus taught 3 art workshops, and Cole James, another artist, taught 2 workshops, or we have videos of 2 of the workshops that she taught. And you can find that link tree on our Instagram. It's linked on our Instagram. So the video to Jasmine's workshops will be posted up there very, very soon, I promise. And so that way, if you want to refer back to them, you can find them there. Does anyone have any last thoughts or questions before we sign off?
Can you share the screen? Or this is one of the most recent actions of Youth Justice Coalition. April 7th. It's students like Rashad and Andy that are on the line, that are putting on their mask and getting out in the cars. The 90-minute motorcade looped around 3 city blocks in a slow crawl as local activists and family members shouted from their windows and blasted messages through loudspeakers calling for the swift release of teens and young adults locked up during the coronavirus pandemic. Yeah, just wanted to end with that honor and recognition of the type of school that we are. And again, just humbled to be a facilitator with the YJC Free LA program, and in collaboration with Liberated Arts Collective. Have a beautiful day, ladies.
Thank you so much, everyone.